Welcome, hunters, to your first orientation session. As our most recent batch of initiates, your access to the full breadth of the Hunters Hope Club's intelligence will be limited. Please be sure to attend each orientation session in order to sufficiently arm yourself with knowledge. Knowledge, after all, is our greatest weapon against the unknowable. In this, our first presentation, we'll be discussing the subject of prime enigmorphs. Enigmorphs with which you have already been acquainted are anomalous entities living in secret here in our world as a result of extra-dimensional interference. Prime enigmorphs, as we know, are the cause of this interference. The origin of the primes is classified information, known only by the highest authorities in our organization. All the information necessary for you and your purposes is as follows. Prime enigmorphs are ancient beings that existed long before any mortal race. At one point in our universe's history, they were omnipotent, ruling over and creating reality as we know it. Things have changed. Prime enigmorphs are no longer the infallible deities they once were. Powerful though they may remain, they are far from immortal. They, like all mortal races in the universe, succumb to vices that make them vulnerable. It is our ultimate goal to identify, expose, and exploit these vulnerabilities. We don't have far to look. Our field agents have reported at least 2 prime enigmorphs seeking sanctuary here on Earth. Though they are elusive, they are not defenseless. Both subjects are incredibly powerful and should not be approached without a thorough disambiguation of their abilities and behaviors. The prime enigmorphs that share our planet with us are the direct cause of the other lesser enigmorphs that you have already encountered. Their mere presence among mortal kind can alter the very essence of living beings and inanimate objects alike. Before we look at these 2 specimens, it is important that you understand the classification system that the HHC uses. All known enigmorphs can be assigned to one of several different types. These types denote the enigmorph's physical qualities. For example, an enigmorph that was a type of plant before being corrupted would be categorized as flora type. An enigmorph that was once an animal would fall under the fauna type. Inanimate objects, from stones to man-made machines, have the designation of construct. Prime enigmorphs have 2 types used exclusively by their unique class of entity. Spectral enigmorphs have a direct connection to mortals, and draw power from the ethereal energy of the undead. Astral enigmorphs have a very different relationship with mortals, often dwelling in the infinite depths of the galaxy. They draw their power from the very fabric of reality, able to control anything in the physical realm. As you will learn in this presentation, these classifications represent the average trait of all known enigmorphs of both types, and specific primes will fall to more extreme ends of the spectrum when it comes to discernible traits. Now that you've familiarized yourself with the most rudimentary of prime enigmorph information, we will begin the disambiguation on the 2 prime enigmorphs currently located here on Earth. Subject 1. Chemazots. Fear of the End. First documented by Hunter Hope Club member Clara Brendel in the spring of 1877. Designation Chemazots, Fear of the End. Subject is unlike any other enigmorph the HHC ever encountered. Massive in both stature and power, it seems to be able to alter its physical form at will. Its preferred appearance is that of a massive, draconic creature with multiple arms and a rotted, human visage on its chest. Its presence can be discerned by, but not limited to, a lack of active wildlife, rotted or decaying organisms continuing to grow, and unusual behavior from local human populations. Brendel was dispatched to investigate paranormal activity at an archaeological site in Mexico, with reports of the aforementioned anomalies. Brendel reported, "The archaeologist working at El Castillo regaled me with campfire stories of dragons and cults. They claimed an order of fanatical worshippers had taken over the temple an order that now consisted of several of their own men. The jungle is silent at night. Only the wind and the sound of the distant sea. Where are all the animals? A researcher was said to have been mauled by some unidentified beast. I've yet to be bitten by so much as a mosquito. I found a monkey that looked as if it had been crushed by a fallen tree. The dead tree was rotting, but new growth appeared from its branches day by day. Someone or something moved the body of the monkey. On some nights I see braziers at the top of the temple light aflame. One morning I made the trek up the great stairs to investigate. Nothing. Not even a sign that the fire had been lit. Surely, though, I hear voices. Songs, chants, cries. Something is going on inside those temples. Hunter Brendel's journal was eventually recovered, though no sign of her nor the site archaeologists was ever found. Sketches of the enigmorph are recorded within, and are the only associated visuals the club has to date. Camazots, as far as the HHC is concerned, should not be approached without further investigation. Subject 2. Flamarion, the Eye Affixed. Of the limited information compiled by the Hunter's Hope Club on the topic of prime enigmorphs, none is more compelling than that of Flamarion. This prime has an entirely different relationship with humans than most, willingly revealing itself in the presence of not only HHC members, but other mortals without prior knowledge of the enigmorphs. Its intentions are unclear, its mortal vice is unidentified, and the exact threat it poses has yet to be determined. The effect it has on the world around it varies, though nascent enigmorphs born of its power tend to be rather unsettling in nature. Field agents describe them as experiments, sometimes unsightly to behold. It is possible that, unlike most primes, Flamarion creates nascent enigmorphs intentionally. Several HHC agents have reported encounters with Flamarion. Field Agent Abigail Hyde stated in her report, "Subject is amiable and cooperative. It is capable of communicating with humans in any number of ways, but to my surprise it prefers spoken language. As far as I can tell, it is fluent in every human tongue, able to adapt in an instant to easily converse with anyone it encounters. Flamarion does not seem to recognize me as a threat, though my directive has been to identify its weakness. Or perhaps it understands my true intentions and is gathering information on me as I do the same with it." Another report from HHC agent Haron King. "I woke up in my HHC quarters to an unidentified humanoid sitting at the edge of my bed. I remembered my training, to ask questions first and take action once I know more. Damn good advice it was, too. They weren't interested in harming me. They hadn't even broken in. Apparently, they were able to navigate past our security agents without arousing any suspicion. We spoke for a while, and I tried my best to withhold any vital information I knew whilst learning everything I could from my guest. It was strange how comfortable I felt around them, though my subconscious bristled with paranoia. They left abruptly, vanishing in a puff of luminous dust. I'd be eager to find out if any other agent has had a similar encounter." In another report from an anonymous source, an encounter with Flamarion explains its current designation. The enigmorph seemed to be disappointed that it had not yet been given an identification handle after learning that all other recorded enigmorphs were named. It explained to the witness that it had been given many names over the many centuries it had been conversing with humans, and that it had no preference. The unidentified individual decided on the designation John, to which the subject responded, "If you are going to give me a name from the Bible, at least pick one that sounds important." Allegedly, Flamarion was chosen after they were unable to agree on a sufficiently impressive name. Even among enigmorphs, Flamarion is a mystery. It seems to contradict everything we once thought we knew about these entities. Its ability to communicate so fluently with humans makes it an invaluable asset to the HHC and our studies. It also prefers to take on the form of a human, perhaps so it can more easily approach and interact with our kind. If an agent does encounter this particular enigmorph, approach the situation with caution. Whatever it truly wants is still unknown. This concludes our first orientation seminar. Thank you for attending. If you have any further questions, and I sincerely hope that you do, write them down below in your notebooks. I will address your curiosity as soon as I can. I expect to see all of you again for our next orientation session.
Hey guys, Jack here. Before we have a closer look at the newest updates to the Enigmorph world and game concept, allow me to take a brief moment to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Unveil. Unveil is a new, inclusive platform for artists, writers, world builders, and character creators. Unveil is anti-AI art and never NFT, with the goal of inspiring and motivating creators to continue on their journey and build their character and story portfolio. If you're tired of social media platforms like Instagram and Twitter that make it difficult for illustrators to share their work, I highly recommend hopping over to Unveil and creating a portfolio. Here, you can easily find other artists and they can find you. The most invaluable resource available to artists in the modern day is the ability to connect with a community and share ideas. It's easy to get started. Once you've made an account, you can upload your original characters and set up profiles for each of them. You can include multiple images for each character, as well as a detailed list of traits to further characterize them for your audience. It's actually a really great way to organize your own thoughts for later reference. I was filming myself making this account just for the ad, but I ended up spending a ton of time filling out these forms for Celeste and Bonnie. It was honestly a lot of fun. There's even a category for worlds. Organize your characters by which fictional universes of yours they belong to. Then share them so that other artists can find your work and get excited about your stories. Unveil is 100% free to use and it's available right now. No promo code, no 13% off, just free. If you're an artist and you're eager to share your work with the world, create an Unveil account today and start connecting with other artists just like you. Thank you to Unveil for sponsoring this video, and now let's take a look at some of my OCs, as it were. So this is the second Enigmorph video that we've uploaded. If you missed the first one, I recommend going back to check it out. It sort of introduces this little project and my first ideas. Yes, this is technically a concept for a video game, but as of right now, we're still in the very early concept development stage. I'll be making videos like this every so often to give you guys updates on our progress, what new things I've come up with, and what changes I've made to stuff that I've already released. I learned with my Maza region project that mine is a very chaotic development process. I come up with ideas on the spot and refine them over time, which means that it's kind of silly to pitch these ideas to people as final drafts when I know that they're going to change. However, I do want to be able to share some of my progress in video form, mostly because I love to hear your responses to what I've been working on. Not only do I get good ideas from fans, but some of you go so far as to reach out and offer your skills and expertise in developing an actual game. The Maza region fan game is being spearheaded by fans of my work, not me, and already I'm seeing the same enthusiasm from people who loved my initial Enigmorph video and want to help turn that into a reality. Eventually, we're going to start looking for people who we can actually hire to work on this game. There's so much talent out there, and we'd absolutely love to get this project from 2D illustrations to a fully playable game. For now, though, I'll just be sharing my own personal work on the Enigmorph project here. We've got a channel in the Subjectively Discord just for Enigmorph-related subject matter, so if you have any ideas or thoughts you'd like to contribute, be sure to join the conversation there. As I've already shown you, the biggest and newest change to the Enigmorph project is the introduction of the Prime Enigmorphs. I've talked about these characters a little bit in the first video. They're basically the strongest beings in the universe of Apocryphal. Similarly to legendaries in a Pokemon game, there are only one of each Prime Enigmorph in any given player's games. Also, like legendary Pokemon, they play a pivotal role in the story. Prime Enigmorphs are the reason why any other kind of Enigmorph exists. Think of them like a foreign contaminant in a human body. Even without interacting with any specific part, their mere presence causes a reaction within the body's immune system, and things start to change. Tissues swell, the temperature rises, and the healthy organs start to change in ways that shouldn't be possible. The Hunter's Hope Club, a group of explorers, scientists, and mercenaries, want to figure out exactly what these Prime Enigmorphs are and why they're here on Earth, and you, the player, are going to help them. Now, of course, there is a bunch of more information about the primes that I either haven't figured out yet or just that I'm not going to share with you in this video right now. The main theme of the apocryphal world is unanswered questions, so I do want to keep some of this story a mystery. There's another big change about the structure of this game that I wanted to share with you all. I've been thinking about this a lot since our first video, and while nothing is set in stone yet, I've come to a decision that I think will remain consistent throughout the rest of the Enigmorph game development process. The Enigmorph game will not have combat. I know, simple but surprising. I know initially I spoke about the main mechanics of the game being similar to Pokemon in so much as that you would use your Enigmorphs to fight other Enigmorphs, but I'm realizing that I don't really like that idea for a number of reasons. Primarily, a game centered around fighting doesn't make sense in the context of Apocryphal. This world, which I've been working on for years now, is all about mystery and the pursuit of human curiosity. It's about discovering the undiscoverable, knowing the unknowable. All the stories center around characters who want to learn and explore, not become stronger by beating down foes. Pokemon has always been about, becoming stronger through your individual journeys and experiences and growing alongside friends and partners. Fighting and becoming the very best works well as a mechanic in that world. Here, though, there's no need to be better than anyone. We just want to know more. Instead of using your Enigmorphs for battle, my new concept is to use them as partners in your day-to-day activities as a member of the HHC. Whether you're exploring an abandoned mansion, an ancient crypt, or a haunted temple, your Enigmorphs will be there to aid you in your journey. The different types of Enigmorphs could be used to help you with specific tasks. For example, fire, light, and electric Enigmorphs could provide vision in dark places. Fauna, darkness, and Fey Enigmorphs might be able to talk you out of a tight spot with some unfriendly thugs. Construct Enigmorphs could build you a little bridge, and maybe Flora Enigmorphs could treat your wounds. Some Enigmorph abilities would be necessary to proceed, but there will never only be one way to solve each puzzle. You as a player will have to assemble a team of Enigmorphs with a variety of skills in order to progress through the game. If you're heading down below the waves to investigate an undersea shrine, it would make sense to bring an aquatic Enigmorph to carry you down, a light Enigmorph to help you see, a bloom Enigmorph to maintain sanity, and maybe an apex type like Machina or Demon for extra protection. But if you want to bring a fire Enigmorph with you, go ahead. There might be a benefit to having it even if it doesn't seem like there would be. Instead of attacks, Enigmorphs will have traits and abilities that provide the player with the tools necessary to carry out their work as a field agent of the HHC. It's possible that combat might eventually work its way in as a type of obstacle to overcome, like if you encounter another dangerous Enigmorph that needs subduing, you can have one of your Enigmorphs fend them off. The world of Apocryphal is dangerous, after all, but if they can, HHC members try to avoid fighting. Ask questions first, then take action once you know more. This brings us to another subject that I've been thinking about: catching Enigmorphs. I've seen a couple of different suggestions regarding this dilemma, but I think my favorite by far is to capture them by sketching them in your journal. Perhaps the player's pen or paper has some otherworldly power to it, or maybe Enigmorphs by nature can be tamed simply by someone understanding them enough that they can depict them in 2D mediums. This idea needs more fleshing out, but this is the sort of direction that I'm leaning in for now. Finally, I'll tell you a little bit more about the designs for the Prime Enigmorphs that I showcased at the beginning of this video. These are, once again, first drafts for both designs. Camazotz is probably more close to finish than Flamarion, but I think I understand the character of Flamarion more. To be fair though, I came up with the initial concept for Flamarion a long time ago. These notebook pages are an example of the kind of imagery I imagine would be used in the Enigmorph version of the Pokédex. The rarer and more unusual the Enigmorph, the more chaotic the page would look. Of course, being Prime Enigmorphs, Camazotz and Flamarion not only take up 2 pages each, but these pages reflect the mental burden that each of the Enigmorphs take on the people who documented them. Again, both of these designs should be considered rough drafts. They may change in appearance or in the roles that they play in the story. I'll piece the world together as I go, so be sure to stay tuned. What's next for the Enigmorph project? Well, there's still a lot more to figure out. What kind of game do I want it to be? What kind of graphics make the most sense? What's practical versus what's ideal? And so on. For my part, I'd like to design a few human characters next, examples of the player and some of the main NPCs that the player will encounter. I think as I figure out these characters, we'll start to get a better idea of what direction the story will be heading in. For now though, this is the current state of the Enigmorph project. I hope you guys enjoyed what I had to share with you all, and I hope that you'll continue to give us feedback and critiques about the in-progress work that we're showing you. It really does help a lot. Thank you so much to all of our Patreon supporters. If you'd like to help us work on the Enigmorph project even more, a donation through Patreon would go a long way. With your support, we can keep working on the Enigmorphs like it's our full-time job, and we'll be that much closer to turning this concept into a reality. Thank you for watching, everyone. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next video.